Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Roma Press live stream. Thank you for being here with me. I'm Andy from Roma Press and romapress.net, your host for the day. As we approach tomorrow's big match with Inter at the San Siro, I am sorry to have scheduled this. Relatively early on today, this Saturday. I had completely forgotten that today we have El Clasico. So I don't blame anyone who chooses to watch El Clasico over my live stream. I think, despite my best efforts, the El Clasico will still find ways to be more entertaining than this, but I'll try my best. That I can promise. We will talk about tomorrow's match. We can talk about the whole debacle with the whistles from Intersporters. We can talk about the injury situation at Roma. We can talk about the formation. But first of all, I want to encourage every one of you to please write down your thoughts or your talking points or questions you may have and you may want me to address during the live stream. I'll be reading them off as usual, so that we can have a productive Saturday morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining me. Tomorrow, obviously, we find two teams that are perhaps in two different moments, and yet whenever they clash in these big games, you don't really feel that disparity, with the exception of what was it in Mourinho's first season, the second match where we lost 3-0 or something like that with Inter. It was a complete utter embarrassment, but overall these games with Inter have been much closer than you'd expected on paper, given Inter's ample options off the bench, the variety of players that they have that they can uh, choose and play along. Inter will only be missing Juan Cuadrado and Marco Arnautovic, so two players that came in the summer and had basically zero impact. So we can't really say much about their situation. We can do quite the opposite for Roma. The injury list is quite long, and somebody like Chris Smalling, who was supposed to be there tomorrow, will not be called up. uh, Chris Smalling is feeling worse than he did a week ago. The pain came back to him, and he hesitated, and he now is reluctant to return anytime soon. So we will see. Also, yes, yes, we have the first mention of Maresca. So Maresca easily, and I don't shy away from it because it's a fact, one of the worst referees in Serie A. Also Di Paolo, so the man who will be at VAR, the man who is responsible for granting Milan the handball against Genoa. So perfect. A perfect situation. No, Maresca, regardless of the results with Roma, overall is a horrible referee, a guy who has no feel for big matches, a guy who has no control over the game. So expect to see some pretty hard decisions tomorrow. I also fear for the kind of atmosphere that has been built up with regards to Romelu Lukaku's return to San Siro. There has been so much talk about this. On the Inter side, there has been so much attention paid to that. There have been countless interviews with their executives, with their players, with the manager, and then that almost seemed like it gave life to a number of questionable initiatives by the Inter ultras that sort of spread to the general Inter population at the San Siro. This initiative of bringing 30,000 whistles, although it is illegal to bring whistles on to a stadium in Italy, you can get fined, and they will be fined if they do so, because you are getting in the way of the match officials on the pitch. So The atmosphere around Romelu Lukaku, I expect to see once again some of the worst displays of Italian sports fandom in general. Just the idea of the Intercurva Nord, so their ultras group, their leader clarifying that that the whistles and the boos should not be misunderstood as something that has to do with Lukaku's color of skin color. That already tells me where they're coming from and where this whole thing can go and what direction this can head into. And it's not nice. It's not nice. And I'm also scared that the energy that the San Siro will evoke on Inter players may affect also like what kind of tackles will we see tomorrow. There's been lots of reports in the media. Is the whole media landscape in Italy is hopeless, but especially in these situations where you need a bit of nuance, you need also a bit of a step back. Uh, there have been articles from Gazzetta dello Sport like justifying a scenario where Inter players start to be more aggressive on the pitch against Romelu Lukaku, where basically an article concluded with the sentence, and now a tackle on Lukaku may be more than just a tackle and may be justified. Like I don't know what this guy did to them. I've seen a lot of Roma players leave the club on worse terms, I think, than Lukaku left Inter, and they did not see half of the reaction that Lukaku is about to get. Should we aim to get a draw or try and get a win? Pinaka says, "Oh man, well, I mean, who would have expected us to win 2-1 last season? You know what I mean? It's, I think, on this occasion, you have to any result. For me, any result is good. Anything that is not a loss is fantastic. But I do think that Roma can play to win in this match. It's not. Both teams are coming off some good results. Both teams are on the up and up. Both teams uh, are, Inter need to reaffirm their place in order for Juve not to slip in and get ahead of them. And Roma cannot afford to not only to drop points but also to look weak in a big match. The only big match so far this season that Roma have played was Milan, and they got completely embarrassed, out hustled by a Milan side that knew exactly what they wanted to do. And now you're facing an Inter side that on paper is better than you are. Yes, okay, but they have just as much to lose as you do. So I expect Roma to go all out, guns blazing, especially with the absences that they're dealing with. The absences are not necessarily a bad thing when you approach a big match like this. It can be added fuel, just like the reaction of the San Siro towards Lukaku can be added fuel for him and the team. It will be important to see Lukaku, uh, be supported by his teammates and Roma players not shit themselves, because it's one thing when you go to, say, a stadium in Cagliari or Verona and get booed and whistled the whole game through, okay. But then if you go to San Siro and you got 70,000 people doing that, that's a whole other thing. Mourinho's first season was a struggle against big teams, but last season under Mourinho, Roma had great results, bearing Inter away, drawing to AC Milan, taking 4 points against Juventus. Yeah, there was, I think, the first season was a bit of a carryover effect from the days of Paulo Fonseca, although we still remember fondly that Atalanta match, which came out of nowhere and then was followed up by one of the most boring games in the history of football. I think it was 0-0 Roma Sampdoria at the Stadio Olimpico right before Christmas. And that was, I remember the incredible energy that we got from that smashing win against Atalanta in their own home, and then going back to Stadio Olimpico facing one of the worst teams in the league and getting a scoreless draw. That was peak Roma. So hopefully we can build momentum and also build up our confidence from last season, where yes, we had a pretty decent record against the bigger sides, with particular Juventus, as you mentioned, and also that draw with Milan, which was I don't even know how to. It was just such a bizarre evening, because for it broke Milan, and for us it didn't really do much. Although it was an admirable effort, but it definitely broke Milan, and sort of that was the final nail in the coffin for Milan and their Scudetto hopes against the Napoli. Someone is going to end up with a red card. I feel it in my bones. Oh, absolutely. With Maresca out there on the pitch, absolutely. Thank God Mourinho is suspended. Cheers, everybody. Some much needed coffee. Yes, absolutely. That's why for me, Maresca is a referee that should not be anywhere near these big games, and especially with the atmosphere that is going to be there tomorrow, where you will have a lot of feedback from the crowd. You will have potentially Inter players play more aggressively because of it, feeding off the energy. Um, Roma players not backing away. Roma also have their fair share of players who like to like to get a dirty tackle here and there. So it's important that Maresca and the whole crew, Di Paolo at VAR, God help us, uh, will do the least damage. Hopefully this is one of those big games where you just let them play, you let it sort it out between themselves. Ciao, Andy. Hello, Sanchit. Thank you for being here, for tuning in. Let's see how it goes. But a positive result, draw win, will go a long way to show that how far we have come back from the disastrous start of the year. Absolutely. Regardless if you win or draw, that would already be a welcome improvement over what you showed in the first few weeks of the season. This Roma team has still ways to prove. I mean, we got 5 wins in the recent games, and that's very neat, very nice, very encouraging. But getting a result in a big game like this, showing what you're capable of in the face of adversity, in the face of this negative energy that just finds its way around you and tries to strangle you from all sides in this packed, sold out stadium, will go a long way. It will send a message both to the team and to the other teams in Serie A. Roma must be taken seriously. It's I always laugh when because recently I think it was against Slavia Praha, yes, on Thursday. A number of players said, well, this game shows that to the opponent that this is not an easy place to play in, right? With regards to the Stadio Olimpico. But it's one thing to say it after playing Slavia Praha. It's a whole other thing when you play the likes of Milan, Inter, Juve, Napoli. So Roma have done some good over these last few weeks. The signs are there. We're scoring, we're keeping clean sheets. We've improved the defense definitely over the last few weeks. We've definitely made improvements in that area, but I can't help but feel like if you don't get at least 1 point out of tomorrow's match, it will all feel a bit undercooked, So, but maybe that's my negative nature getting the best of me. It's important to just show up and be there. Like the most tragic scenario would be Roma entering that pitch and getting swept away by Inter, by the fans, by the whole noise. That would be devastating to see this team, a team that in recent weeks has shown presence, has shown poise, has shown this feeling of everybody's with each other, working towards the same goal. Everybody's got each other's back, and then stepping out on the field tomorrow and getting crushed would be very, very disheartening. Ba-ba-ba. Sanchit, Inter is better for sure, but they have focus issues. Also, hopefully, them hyperventilating on Lukaku causes them to make mistakes. I love that turn of phrase, hyperventilating. That's awesome. Um, Brandon, Jose had a great response for the Lukaku situation by bringing up ex players like Cannavaro who went to a rival and didn't get anywhere near as much as attacks. Well, I also think that Thiago Pinto perhaps had a more brilliant response to that, which is, the same fans who now have basically a wanted sign out for Lukaku were the same ones who cheered for the arrival of Henrik Mkhitaryan and Dzeko, two players that, unlike most Inter supporters, will try and tell you that they both left on good terms. They did not leave Roma on good terms. Henrik Mkhitaryan first of all, no, let's start with Edin Dzeko. Edin Dzeko heads into the summer of 2021 with the idea, I'm going to leave. But then Jose Mourinho is announced as coach, so he rethinks his position. He talks with Mourinho. Mourinho says, I'm counting on you. I think 4 days later, 5 days later, like something like that. Like he may have gotten 2 or 3 training sessions with Mourinho. He gets an offer from Inter, turns his back, says, I'm out of here, and is out of there within a week's time, out. And never clarified, never said anything, just walked out. Same thing with Mkhitaryan. Roma had the whole deal in place. His agents were already working on his renewal. Henrik Mkhitaryan plays the Conference League final. He wins the trophy, gets injured, wins the trophy, goes back to Rome, gets on the team bus. The same instant that the team is on the bus celebrating the Conference League win, the reports are out there that Mkhitaryan's agents have accepted the offer from Inter, and Mkhitaryan's out of there the day later. So Inter fans should understand that football is football. This is business, and there is no, like when you see the ultras making these kinds of threats where you read these words like we will make you feel our hate, which is one of the messages that they posted on their official channels. That's never good. Sports is sports, so sports is should be entertainment for a reason. But that's the way it is. People take it to extreme as a lot of other things in life. So hopefully this again doesn't have any repercussions on Roma's attitude going into this match. It's very important for them to maintain that composure that we've seen in recent weeks. That is something that we've learned to appreciate because of how disorganized we were to start the season with. It seemed like nobody was on the same page. This team that for so long had one of the best defensive records in Europe enters the season and they look absolutely lost, gassed, out hustled by any team. And then you head into the international break. You come out of it looking much more, much more poised, much more, organized and sharp. But that counts to an extent because you have to. It's like with Fonseca, right? Remember, with Fonseca, we go on these unbelievable runs where you're beating Sassuolo, you're beating Hellas Verona, you're beating Genoa, boom, 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 Udinese. And then here comes Inter, here comes Milan, here comes Juve, here comes Napoli, and you get absolutely demolished time and time again. And that it undermines everything. So now you have to set the tone. You didn't set the tone when you had the chance to play against Milan. You have to set the tone, unfortunately, in these difficult circumstances against the Inter at San Siro. So thank you guys for being here with me. It's we don't have too many people in, but that's still fine. I have 22 people, only 12 likes. So I need everybody to start clicking that like button. I appreciate everybody who can You can help us get into the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do so. We're at 985 subscribers, so we're trying to get to 1,000. It really means a lot. Because then we can hopefully start monetizing, and we can expand the content. We can up the production value, which I know is not the best. And if you like the show, if you like our work for the website, you consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/Roma Press. You can get a lot of nice benefits from it, like early access to episodes, additional episodes, and also the inclusion to the infamous Roma Press patron group chat on WhatsApp. So, is Spinazzola available? He's much better than Zalewski. No, unfortunately, Spinazzola has been ruled out. Spinazzola has been dealing with muscle fatigue. So, famous for injuring himself time and time again. Spinazzola unfortunately went down once again, and has been unable to recover in time for tomorrow. Mourinho thought he would only sit out Thursday night. Unfortunately, he was not able to come back for tomorrow. So tomorrow, Nicola Zalewski is once again expected to start. This will be his second consecutive start after Slavia for the first time this season. This is a player who is in much need of confidence and trust from the manager, given his latest performances, which have been subpar. But unfortunately, yes, Spinazzola is out. So you may even make the case of wanting to see El Shaarawy play as a left wing back. Given how poor Zalewski has been this season, you can make the case of wanting El Shaarawy on as a left wing back with Belotti and Lukaku both starting up front. Ever since the new sponsorship, we haven't lost. It always seems that football runs in superstition. Hope it's true and continue the good run for as long as it lasts. Well, definitely. I don't know about the new logo. I just know about the SPQR. The SPQR has a horrendous record, dating all the way back to that infamous derby in 2016-17. I think it was already 2017. We come out with those beautiful looking shirts, and we get absolutely annihilated by Lazio. So the SPQR logo definitely doesn't have a good history record here. So hopefully with this Riyadh season, we can go to the San Siro and become heroes of Sunday night. So apart from Nicola Zalewski starting over Leonardo Spinazzola, we're also looking at Evan Dika and Diego Llorente, both starting in the defense along Gianluca Mancini. Dika, as you saw on Thursday, it wasn't anything serious with his foot. He was able to recover, and also he's forced to play because of Chris Smalling. Now, this situation with Chris Smalling is what I wanted to get into, because Mourinho has been making some very subtle comments about this whole situation, where I get the sense that Mourinho is a bit pissed off that Smalling is not willing even to try and get some minutes into his legs. He's afraid. Smalling is afraid. He's in pain. He's got this chronic tendonitis issue, which has been bothering him for the past few months, for several months now, but it really culminated after that defeat to Milan. And since then, we haven't seen him. He came back to group training a week ago. I think he got 2 group sessions in, and then back to individual training because he felt too much pain. And in his recent press conferences, whenever he was asked about Smalling, Mourinho made it seem like he's unhappy with that situation, with Smalling's decision making. Even after Slavia Praha, some reporters said, well, is Smalling available for Sunday? And Mourinho was like, which Sunday? And this is a player that Mourinho was saying he may be ready 2 weeks ago. So I think there is a feeling that Smalling is a bit too hesitant to come back. Uh, unlike Brian Cristante, who, Mourinho was almost down on the floor having a heart attack in the stands on Thursday night when Cristante went down on the pitch. It seemed like, oh my God, even Brian got injured. But no, Brian Cristante is still there. He's set to start. He will start in the midfield against Inter, which means that if Paredes also starts alongside him, you will once again have to choose between either Bove or Awar. Sorry, Awar, Hussein Awar. That is always an interesting decision to make. I love how a lot of people who tuned in for the last live stream picked up on my wonderful comment, the wonderful, insightful comment by yours truly that Bove is not a scorer, so he doesn't have a tendency to go forward. Boom. Fast forward 6 hours later, Bove is scoring a world-class goal from outside the box against Slavia Praha to open up the scoreline. Ah, man, this. So hopefully, Bove is not a scorer on Sunday. Hopefully, he just doesn't have it in him. Hopefully, Belotti is not a scorer. So, will Dybala play? No, Dybala is out. Dybala was trying to recover for today. They made him do some extra work in training. He didn't train with the group, but he kept doing intense workouts individually with a trainer, and Roma made him do some fitness tests to assess his condition, and he responded positively to those tests. But Roma and Mourinho are not confident enough to risk him on Sunday. You'd be risking him. He would not be able to play 90 minutes. He would not be even able to come off the bench for one half. So Mourinho, I think, came to the conclusion that if you can't rely on him for 45 minutes, there's no point. And so Dybala, along with Lorenzo Pellegrini, is aiming to return for the Derby, which is on November 9. So that is, you give them more time to recover, more time to hopefully get back to 100%, because I don't think we've seen either Pellegrini or Dybala play at 100% this season. We got Oleg. El Shaw's left wing back is not a good idea. The key is to emphasize the qualities of a player and to hide his weaknesses, not the other way around. Definitely, but the alternative is Zaleski, and as a fellow Pole, I'm sure that you feel some way about our Nicola, but the guy is a bit rattled this season, and tomorrow you're gonna have who's gonna be on him? Dumfries. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. So that's just, I always prefer, obviously, El Shaarawy to play off the bench. I said it time and time again. He's a super sub, but I'm tempted to even ponder, the fact that Al Shaarawy may be able to play more of as a defender against the Inter, and would probably have a better defensive impact than Zaleski and what Zaleski has shown recently. How about using one of our right backs on the left? Oleg adds to his comment. Well, yeah, I mean, you have Selik. He could potentially play there. Rasmus Christensen, I don't know. I don't think so. But I would definitely consider Selik. And also, I saw that a lot of people were mentioning Salik and wanted me to say about Salik. I agree. Salik is one of those weird cases where this is a guy that hasn't shown anything particularly bad, hasn't shown anything brilliant either, but he hasn't been bad for Roma. It's just that he never really got a good series of starts. It seems like he's been utilized in the weirdest occasions, in the weirdest circumstances, where you don't really know whether this is a player on whom Mourinho relies very heavily when an important match occurs, or whether this is a guy who is just there to plug a hole, to be used as a band-aid. I think I do agree. Salik should get some more minutes, especially given the alternatives out there. With the exception of Karsdorp, I don't think anybody has been lights out. Maybe Christensen has been doing a bit better over the last few weeks, but Karsdorp has been the only one to really shine on the wing so far. I'm worried about Inter players trying to get Mancini or Cristante suspended, Lukaku injured. Well, I think the only player who's one yellow card away from suspension is Paredes. So, and I think this match will call for Paredes to do something a bit drastic. So I'm pretty sure that Paredes could miss. What is it? The match against Lecce, I think, is the next league match. So, but definitely, it is very important not to, you know. Last season, Mancini and Cristante, I thought, were brilliant in reading those situations, even in the difficult games. In the big matches where the spotlight was the brightest, they still managed to, Mancini especially, still managed to play with a cool mindset, not being overly aggressive, as we knew him from before, but being very, very stable, direct, not too tame, but not overly aggressive. So hopefully tomorrow is no exception, because Inter also have the personnel to to put the foot on the pedal and be aggressive. Also, we know Nicolo Barella is loves a good diver too, so it will be important not to bait him into diving in our penalty area, because again, you have Maresca, who has a very keen whistle against any Mourinho side, and especially this Roma team. I don't think we may have gotten one win again with Maresca as the main match official. He's definitely among some of the worst referees for Roma in the last few years. Those Roma Press never publish. We never publish these statistics, but every single other Roma dedicated website in Italian always whenever a referee is announced, they always go back and they check the team's record with that referee. And Maresca is definitely, along with Orsato, in one of the worst referees for Roma. I feel we are missing the creative playmaker. Maybe I are, but don't think it's enough. Well, Mourinho definitely agrees with you. He said it on a number of occasions. Also on Thursday night, he said without Dybala and Pellegrini, we're forcing Aouar to transform himself to be a kind of player that he is not and has never been. We're trying to basically, he's trying to get Aouar to play both as Dybala and Pellegrini, which I think it's a bit too much, because then you end up liking some of the things he shows, but at the same time, you see that he's torn between what is he supposed to do and what he wants to do. And I think Aouar is the kind of player where you just have to give him the green light to do whatever he wants. Unfortunately, Roma are not in a position to give him the green light at this point. I still maintain that the main thing about it is to have Renato Sanches return for at least just a little while, because Renato Sanches would really solve a lot of the issues that or uncertainties rather than issues, uncertainties that you've had in the middle of the pitch. Renato Sanches, also very complicated situation. According to numerous reports, he's not injured. The injury that he suffered against Sheriff Tiraspol is gone. He hasn't been injured for the past 2 weeks. Like, clinically, if they run tests on him right now, there's nothing. He has nothing. He's nothing physical that is keeping him out. It's all mental right now. The player is refusing to increase his workload in order to return to group training. At least that's what Il Tempo, among other news outlets, is reporting, is that Sanchez is clinically healthy right now, clinically fit, but it's his decision, his reluctance to up the workload and return to group training in order to then play. I think he got scared of how fragile he turned out to be, after those good 45 minutes against Empoli, and then 3 days later he tries to play 45 minutes against Sheriff Tiraspol, and that's already too much for him. And so I think Renato Sanches, his return would be pivotal for Roma, but unfortunately, we're dealing with a player who not even physically is gone, but mentally, he's got some real issues with regards to coming back to training and then getting back into onto the pitch. We will be able to play high press against Inter or sit back and wait for counter. Hope we do not play again like the same with AC Milan. Yeah, that's what I mean. Is you don't want to see another one of those games where Roma are clearly not in it and have zero idea of what to do on the pitch. And I doubt that we will see that, because so far after the Genoa defeat, the team always have come onto the pitch with a purpose, to a greater or lesser degree, with less or more success and less or more quality. They've always come on to the pitch with a purpose, and I think tomorrow should be no exception. Tomorrow, it would be an amazing storyline if Roma were to go there at the San Siro in this packed, heated stadium and deliver a good performance. I think it would be a great storyline, and I think that's what they want to do. The purpose is there. They have a mission, is to prove to 70,000 people watching, booing, whistling at anything, that they're wrong, that they came in and this is the place that we can get a result. This is not enemy territory. This is not some place where miracles don't happen. This is where we get a result. In Foti, we trust, absolutely. Salvatore Foti, once again, back at San Siro, a year from the last time that he was there and leading the team to a 2-1 win. Barcelona's pressing against Real Madrid looks really impressive right now, something we should perhaps copy tomorrow. Yeah, you reminded me that I have to turn on the TV and hopefully mute the Spanish commentator. Okay. Yes. Hopefully Roma, it's all about Roma. The main success for Roma is when, as you point out, when they put pressure on the opponent. And I think this is the main success story on Thursday night, when we got such a early positive result against Slavia Praha, is that we pressured them. We pressured them into making mistakes early on, and that allows us to get a lead and then to sit back and relax a bit. Not too much, because it was 2-0 lead. We had also a few options on the bench that could guarantee us a safe result. Nonetheless, it was a comfortable win. I'm not asking for a comfortable win tomorrow, but I'm asking for a performance that shows us that this team is there, is present, knows what it wants to do, knows what it's doing, and doesn't let the opponent dictate the pace, which is what happened against Milan, which is what happened on a number of occasions against big teams. Is we want a Roma that goes in there, as supposedly the inferior team, and yet proves to be on the same level as Inter. This Serie A is not the Serie A of last year, where Napoli stood out from the whole crowd and were amazing. Inter are very good, but they're not amazing. None of the Italian teams this season are very, very good. They're all pretty much aiming for the same things with different results. But Inter are no exception. This is also a team that makes mistakes. This is a team that got caught sleeping with Bologna when Bologna made that comeback. This is a team that loses momentum, is known for, exactly, for losing momentum, for losing their cool, their focus. So, and Roma are good on putting pressure, and Roma are good on getting the opponent caught off guard, and Roma have strong individuals who have also this sense of commitment and self-sacrifice, which is absolutely necessary when you approach these big games. So I think it's all in Roma's hands, because it really goes up to to a team that that will have to deal with Mourinho's absence, and this is not the first time that Mourinho is not there. So I also expect that, okay, to somehow perhaps impact them a little, but not too much. This is a team that I think over the course of the summer, right, with Mourinho missing the first two games of the Serie A season, with him missing the first group stage games in the Europa League, the team supposedly they worked a lot on being able to play without him on the sidelines. So um, Roma should hire whoever kept Renato fit at Lille. Yes, and even then, right? I mean, obviously that's his best time, and that says a lot, unfortunately. But I think again, it is very mental with Renato. It you should I guess you should splash some money on some psychologist or therapist or whatever, because this uncertainty, this fear of getting injured again and again, that becomes a vicious cycle, and you may never get out of it. So for the sake of his own career, he should trust himself and trust the process. Roma, I think they are trying to emulate what they did with Dybala last season, where they brought in a fragile player, but they made him the star of the show. And even in recovery, they paid so much attention to him as this essential piece to the puzzle that I think it allowed Dybala to go back to being that wonderful player that we knew from some time ago. Like Patrick Schick, absolutely, absolutely. Like Patrick Schick, where it was all mental, and he admitted it a number of times. He should do yoga. Absolutely, I started doing yoga now in here in Spain, and it caught me completely off guard with regards to how much I like it. But maybe it's because of all the women. Um, okay, forget I said it. Um, Joey, hey Andy, late for the stream. Worried about the amount of players missing tomorrow versus Inter. Yes, well, Joey, it's only natural, but again, I think games are these big matches are such isolated events that you don't even need extra motivate. Like if you can get motivated for a match against Inter at San Siro, where you are the underdog, no debate about it, you are the underdog, and you will face this magnificent crowd of people who are all out there trying to get you distracted, trying to make you scared, and you are still in the position to come up with a result just by putting in a lot of effort. I think that would be a fantastic storyline. I really do. I think that would be even more encouraging than if you were to deliver a result with all the players available on the team. So I'm not too worried about the absences. Again, I'm worried about the refereeing. I just want to see these teams play, and I want the people in attendance to handle this as a sports event, not as a lynching. Italy is known for taking these things to the extreme. The racist uh, events that have occurred throughout the years are all there for everybody to see. Lukaku has been abused in the past by um, various factions of supporters all over Italy. And tomorrow, knowing how Italian ultras work, it may very well be the case again, unfortunately. Okay, I see Alexander. So Oleg has become a full-on commentator for the El Clasico. Again, guys, if you want to tune in for the El Clasico rather than this, I don't blame you. I am going to do that same thing in a while too. We got. I feel bad for Renato. Many forget he's only 26 with all these problems already. Yeah, if Renato 26 is this afraid of getting back on the pitch in a situation where, guys, remember, he comes on Roma are obligated to buy him if he reaches, I believe, 55% of the appearances, and then if he reaches 70% of appearances, Roma have to pay a little more. But he's in a position where he could theoretically improve his long-term future, and yet he is unable to muster up the courage to get back. And I think that says a lot about it. If that keeps on going, I don't see much of a future in this sport for him anymore, unfortunately. That young, and to be that afraid of having another injury is remarkable. Joey says, I started yoga about a year ago. It caught me off guard by how much I like it. Maybe the women do help. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. um, Kenneth, Renato could perhaps be our best players. He's just hindered by all these injuries. Poor man must be traumatized. Yes. And again, I think with him on the pitch, you would be able to do so many more things with somebody like Usam War, because you would not be forcing him to take on the duties left by Pellegrini and Dybala, because Bove is cool. Bove is nice, but he's 21 years old and he's still not in, especially in possession. Bove is not composed. Bove is still lacking that good touch when he's in possession. He still makes some pretty bad passes. Sometimes he gets too caught up in the moment. It seems like when he's in possession, when the team is in possession, he feels the pressure a bit more than when the opponent has possession and he's free to roam around and tackle anybody that he wants to. Renato Sanches, on the other hand, could become the guy that enables you to really unlock the full potential of this team. And Mourinho has acknowledged this time and time again. When he talks about this team, he talks about this team as in their unfulfilled potential. That we haven't seen this team at its strongest. We haven't seen this team with everybody on board, and so you can't really make a clear judgment as to what this team is capable of doing. And I completely agree with him. We are in no position right now to even come close to a definition of who Roma are, this particular Roma, because they too many times we've seen them play with a diminished, injured squad. Does Roma have some sort of deal with Santos for Marcos Leonardo in January? No, no deal. There was only sort of a verbal promise made in the summer, like, oh yeah, we're gonna talk in January, okay? And Santos, on the other hand, told Marcos Leonardo, we're gonna let you walk in January. And Marcos Leonardo now is helping them get out of the relegation zone. And once his season with Santos ends in January, he will be able to he will be free to walk. He'll be free to join any team, and he plans to go to Europe. So that doesn't mean obviously that it's going to be Roma, mind you. These things, a lot of things can happen between the summer and January. So expect his entourage. Especially given the fact that he's been scoring left and right for Santos, his entourage to expect them to handle business like all the agents do, which is try and get the best offer available. Do you think Bove or War start tomorrow? Everyone else is pretty much confirmed. Yeah, well, that's the big question: is who plays, Bove or War? I think in the end it will be Bove. In the end, it will be Bove. I think because Mourinho knows that the team will not have possession. It knows that the Inter will be the ones dictating the tempo, so he wants Bove probably to disrupt the play, and that's a wise thing to do. If we sell Spinazzola in January, do you think we would get an actual upgrade or another player for our hospital FC? That's a good question. A lot of reports saying that Spinazzola could say goodbye to Roma in January because he's got some offers from Saudi. I don't know if he's got offers. Maybe he's going to get offers, but I doubt he has them right now on the table. But definitely, I mean, if Spinazzola were to leave, this is the last chance you can get even a small, tiny, minuscule fee for him because his contract is set to expire in the summer. And this is a guy who can't even string 3 decent performances together before getting injured. So I think anybody who's not named Spinazzola or Zalewski is an upgrade on the current left wing. Okay, so that's my take. Is anything works. Even the janitor working at Trigoria, just put him out there on the left wing, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna deliver the same or more than Spinazzola and Zalewski have delivered together this season so far. So Bove has passed the exam for a trusted player last season, the Europa League campaign. Yeah, that was his moment. I think that was definitely what convinced Mourinho to bet on him more this season, because he responded present last season in the Europa League when all those injuries happened, and you needed somebody, and this guy did not flinch. And now he's supposedly about to get a new contract with Roma. Bove is hoping to stay at Roma at least until 2028. He's going to get a significant salary increase, because I believe he's making 250,000 euros right now, and Roma want to get it up to around 800,000. So with some add-ons, so less than a million, but still a significant increase for a player that still has a Primavera contract. So okay, guys, I think this will be it for today. Enjoy the rest of the El Clasico. Enjoy the rest of your day, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is. Thank you for joining me for this live stream. Hopefully Roma get a result tomorrow. And if you like this live stream, if you like our work on the website, on the channel, first of all, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel, and you can get a notification anytime I schedule these live streams. And you can also get a notification anytime one of our video podcast episodes is out. The last episode that was released yesterday is out now. You can watch it on our channel. You can listen to it on all the platforms wherever you get your podcasts from. And if you also like our website and you like the work that we do with John, you can contribute by becoming a patron on patreon.com/Roma Press. You can support us there, and that really helps a lot. So in the meantime, guys, I will try to come back to you either tomorrow, right after the game, if the result is good, or we can get together on Monday and discuss things and see how it is. So hopefully Roma give us a reason to really be happy, to really enjoy this weekend to the fullest. Tomorrow, San Siro, late afternoon, evening in Italy. So keep your fingers crossed. Thank you so much for joining me today. And until next time, Dona Stempnego. Thank you, guys. Until next time, Dai Roma, Forza Roma. Ciao.